Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to No Final Bell episode 36. Yay. Um, we're going to be going into the NWA. Wait,
No
no,
NWA.
no, no NBA, no NWA. Sorry. Um, just Impact AEW talks, and that's it.
Yeah, so last Saturday was Under
Under
Siege,
Siege.
and we're going to be getting into the countdown as well as the main show. On the countdown, we had a tag team match to start off, Heath and Rhino versus Raj Singh and Mahabali Shera. And Heath and Rhino beat Raj Singh and Mahabali Shera. Then we get into a triple threat match, Rich Swann versus Laredo Kid and Speedball Mike Bailey. Rich Swann beats Laredo Kid and Speedball Mike Bailey. Then we kick off the show with a bit of an interesting match. I don't believe it was announced. It might have been announced last minute. Gazelle Shaw versus Madison Rayne. And Gazelle Shaw beats Madison Rayne. And interestingly enough, Alicia Edwards
No, that was announced.
accompanies.
No, no, because like when I was going over the matches with you, that was one of the ones that was announced was Madison Rain and Giselle Shaw, and then Alicia
Okay.
Edwards was going to be with Giselle Shaw.
Oh, I don't remember hearing that, but regardless, yeah, Alicia Edwards accompanied Giselle Shaw to ringside. We might be getting a little bit of a alliance with those two, which we'll see what happens with that. Stay tuned to Impact Wrestling then on Access TV. Um, then we get into a match between Chris Sabin and Steve Macklin. Surprisingly enough, Chris Sabin beats Steve Macklin. I kind of thought that Macklin would get the win over Chris Sabin, but it was actually the other way around. Then we get into the first of a few title matches of the night. We have the AAA Reina de Reinas title on the line. Taya Valkyrie versus Deonna Purrazzo in the rematch. Taya Valkyrie steals the win from Deonna, and then Deonna proves that she's a sore loser and starts beating her down. But who,
Whoo!
who makes the save?
Whoo!
Who makes the save for Taya Valkyrie but a returning to Impact Wrestling not as Jade, but as Mia Yim? Mia Yim signed a deal with Impact Wrestling. She returned to the company at Under Siege on Saturday, beats down Deonna to make the save. Great to see Mia Yim in Impact Wrestling. I think she's going to do well. Um, Unfortunately, it probably means that she won't be the Joker in the Owen Hart tournament for the women's side, but never say never. And even then, it is a bit unfortunate that she didn't go to AEW, but regardless, I expect a lot of big things for Mia Yim in Impact Wrestling. Then we get on to the X Division title match. Ace Austin beats Trey Miguel. Kind of saw that happening. Kind of saw that one coming. Then we get some faction warfare within Impact Wrestling as Honor No More takes on Bullet Club and Honor No More beats Bullet Club. Then we have the Knockouts World Title match: Tasha Steelz versus Havoc of Decay. Tasha Steelz retains, as was to be expected. Um, However, the next title match, the Briscoes versus Violent by Design, the end result may shock you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have new Impact Tag Team Champions. Dem Boys got it done. The Briscoes are your Impact Tag Team Champions. Um, I thought that they may have been like NWA Tag Team Champions on top of being Impact Tag Team Champions. However, they did not get the job done against La Rebellion. Um, but I expect a rematch between those two teams for the tag team titles. And who's to say that the Briscoes don't get their much anticipated, highly, like, who's to say that ultimately, somewhere down the line, the Briscoes do become NWA tag team champions and beat La Rebellion. But who knows? Either way, the Briscoes are your new Impact Tag Team Champions. They defeated Violent by Design, which essentially means that, in a sense, Violent by Design were transitional tag team champions. In a sense. Then we cut to a segment before the main event with Moose claiming that Impact did not repay him for losing the world title, and even just in general didn't repay him for the world title. And we get Lights Out. Who comes out to make his triumphant return to Impact Wrestling and take out Moose? But the Death Machine, the Draw, Sami Callihan. Ladies and gentlemen, Impact Wrestling has the draw of the company. And quite frankly, I was talking about that with Jason um, outside of the show, but like it's not just a nickname for Sami Callihan. He really is the draw of Impact Wrestling. Like he's pretty much the main reason why a lot of people tune in to Impact Wrestling. And like man, like not to say that the show overall uh, wasn't really like working without him, but at the same time, it's like you could definitely tell there was a bit of a void with Sammy being out and being injured. You could definitely tell there was a bit of a void. But now the Death Machine, the draw, is back. No need to worry, folks. The show is going to continue to get better and better each and every single week. Then we get the main event, the match that I'm sure a lot of people have been looking forward to that are fans of Impact, myself included. And even if you don't watch New Japan or really don't know much about Tomohiro Ishii or like really anything about him, like in terms of where he's from, like what's his style or whatever, if you were watching Under Siege on Impact Plus or on Fight TV, you definitely knew what his style is and who the hell Tomohiro Ishii is after that match because Josh Alexander and Tomohiro Ishii brought it to each other tooth and nail, beginning to end, which it ultimately ended up being Josh Alexander retaining the Impact World title against Tomohiro Ishii in the main event. But yeah, needless to say, where does Ishii go after this? I really think he's gonna head into the Forbidden Door June 26th with like a really big chip on his shoulder, looking for something to prove against whoever is AEW's like top big man, at least like right now, because let's just say that Ishii has something to prove against the AEW roster. I mean, after all, he did already prove himself in AEW, but I feel like he has more to prove in AEW with this joint pay-per-view with New Japan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go on to the AEW side of things. We start off the night with a qualifier match, Jeff Hardy and Bobby Fish. Matt Hardy claims that, Bobby Fish is not going to beat Jeff Hardy. Well, hate to say it, fans, that's exactly what happened. Jeff Hardy beats Bobby Fish with a Swanton Bomb. Jeff Hardy and Bobby Fish went toe to toe at each other the whole entire match. I had a feeling that Jeff Hardy was probably going to win, but Jeff Hardy is the seventh and actually no, the sixth of seventh member to qualify for the men's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. But man, Jeff Hardy is just looking to, hopefully win it all. But going forward, Blackpool Combat Club and Andrade Family Office have, not been really at ends, but they faced off against each other, and they beat Andrade Family Office's Butcher Blade and Angelico, even though William Regal, Lord Regal, kept on saying Angelico or Angelico. So
just like how he used to always pronounce Umaga's name as Umenga.
So, with actually submission by, I think it was a cattle mutilation or something like that by, no, well, it was by Brian Danielson with submission
I think
there.
actually it was a triangle choke.
Oh, was it triangle choke?
Yes.
Okay, it was triangle choke there by Brian Danielson. So the Blackpool Combat Club does beat the Andrade Family Office for the second match of the night. Then to move forward in a very shocking thing. I don't know if everybody was paying attention there, but well, Team Taz wanted a shot at the tag team titles. That happened last week on Dynamite, or not on Dynamite. I think it was Rampage. Actually, no, maybe it was Dynamite. So then Jungle Boy and Jurassic, then Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy come out and like, well, now that we had a week to process it, we accept your challenge. Of course, Luchasaurus is like, fight, and then Ricky Starks is, covering his nose because apparently Luchasaurus has got bad breath. I guess that's what happens when you're 65 million years old. But here are the
member of the roster.
Here are the terms for Team Taz to get a title shot. Jungle Boy says he wants Ricky Starks to put the FTW world title on the line, and that will be the only way, in that match before they get a chance at the tag team titles. Now, if you see this, do you think that Jungle Boy might win the FTW championship before heading into maybe possibly double or nothing or so for the tag team titles against Team Taz, or
I doubt it.
Probably not. I think Ricky Starks can probably beat Jungle Boy. I don't think it's going to hurt him that much in singles action to lose to Ricky Starks. If it was tag team action, maybe it would hurt a little bit more, but honestly, I don't think it's going to hurt him that much for taking a loss against Ricky Starks.
Well, that's the thing, too, is like, maybe if the FGW title were like, I've even said that. If the FGW title were more of a like thing that people actually like can get behind and like that actually has like some sort of value behind it, maybe then I could actually like see people actually getting behind Jungle Boy being the FGW champion, but like the FGW title is literally not going to do anything for anybody.
Oh, I know.
It's really not even doing that much for Ricky Starks. So, it's just another way to give him a title and like, have him have a title. So, if they decide to give Jungle Boy the title, then fine, it is what it is. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not going to do much to propel his like career. I mean, after all, look at Brian Cage. He was the FGW World Champion, and you thought that like it would lead to like bigger storylines with him and like possibly the world title picture, but it didn't. So
Right, exactly. So, it'd be nice to that would be a nice little match to see on Dynamite, but we'll see what happens with Team Taz and Jurassic Express for the tag team titles. Now, after the commercial break, Swerve and Keith Lee say that they have unfinished business with Team Taz. Um, what's our thoughts about that? Do we think that could be on Double or Nothing, or do you think it's going to be Jurassic Express against Team Taz for the tag team titles on Double or Nothing?
um I could definitely see Hobbs and Starks challenging for the tag team titles, but if that's the case, then make it a triple threat tag team match and add Swerve and Keith Lee to the
Yeah,
equation.
I think that would be nice to see at Double or Nothing, and I think it would be adding into a really great match. It just sucks that Swerve and Keith Lee had to be involved with Team Taz, but I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to be done with them either after everything that they did, put Swerve and Keith Lee through. But I guess we'll find out. Um, then in the next part of the night, Wardlow um, beats or Wardlow or MGF comes out and says how his who his mystery opponent will be. Well, everybody, yeah, it was a 7 foot tall man,
And you certainly can't teach that.
and you certainly can't teach that. Well, it was a debuting W Morrissey. If everybody knows, we've been talking about him multiple times. He is a Impact Wrestling star, but he showed up on Dynamite because he is currently I think a free agent. So
You
we're
know,
about to be a
everybody's
we're about to be
everybody's
a free agent.
everybody's said that about W. Morrissey. I don't think that's the case. I think he has actually signed a deal with Impact Wrestling.
So
But
I
if
really
he is a free agent, then then color me surprised. But I'm pretty sure that he's like, you know,
now can we talk about this whole entire time that the fans were being very super disrespectful towards W Morrissey?
oh,
I mean, come on now. I mean, I get it. He's a heel. He's acquainted with MJF, but let me tell you something. I just think that with you're gonna have to pull out the dishwasher. You can stop it. But with everything with W. Morrissey, well, the fans were chanting, um, or something about like Big Cass, and they were chanting, "We want Enzo," and then some fans were chanting, "No, we don't," and then he was kind of doing the fake, you know,
doing the endo dance.
and then he was doing the fake Enzo dance, and then kind of like screw off type of thing. That was very super disrespectful for a guy that just showed up in AEW. I mean, fans were being a little ruthless in there in Baltimore, Maryland. You almost thought it was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or something. Um, don't get me wrong, Baltimore fans can be pretty lethal about as much as Philadelphia fans.
Mm.
But Wardlow surprisingly does beat W Morrissey with just one power bomb. But the case can be said, well, he kind of struggled picking him up. He probably could have only done one power bomb on him anyway. But let me tell you something. It's very impressive to do it on a 7 foot tall man because Wardlow is like only like 6, maybe 6'6". Let's just say that 6'5", 6'4", something like that around that range. Picking up a 7 foot tall man.
But like, just think about that too. Wardlow is no small man himself, so like he's very athletic though, very athletic.
But man, after the match, can we talk about this? What MJF is just sending out security one after another, and Wardlow took out every single one of them. Then he's like, "What did I tell you? I told you I won't stop until I get, you know, my hands on you." All right, War Dog, you want a match? I'll give you a match, but we're gonna do it with a contract signing. We're not gonna do it now. We're gonna do it in the beautiful city of Long Island, New York. So we will see next week. Contracts are later tonight when this episode airs. We will see the contract signing between Wardlow and MJF, and we will finally get to hear what the conditions are that Wardlow has to go through before he does get the match against MJF. Finally, it's about freaking time. Wardlow and MJF will be going up against each other. It was only a matter of time that it was going to happen. I knew it all along that they were going to wrestle each other a double or nothing. It made so much sense. And it sucks it's not for a title, but it is what it is. Um, I think, if I'm MJF, I would be a little worried because Wardlow literally took out all those security guards with ease, and the face that MJF made is a holy shit. I might be messing with the wrong guy here. Um, and next, what's coming up is a little bit of a shocking thing I didn't see coming out of Adam Hangman Page's mouth. And you're probably feeling the same way with me, Marty. Well, Adam Hangman Page comes out and says, "Oh, I would like to say it would be easy to, to go in and shake his hand and say that we're gonna have one of the best matches in the world." Well, there ain't gonna be no handshake. There's not gonna be just a, very friendly match. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna destroy CM Punk. Wow. If you're a Hangman Adam Page fan, did you think he would go out there and say, "Oh, I'm not gonna just wrestle CM Punk. I'm gonna go out there and destroy CM Punk"? I don't think I saw that coming at all. I really didn't.
No. I mean,
Um, Even claims like, "Hey, you there with a CM Punk shirt. When I'm done with CM Punk, you're gonna want to go back to you know, to the merch stand and want a refund for that T-shirt, pretty much." So he's showing a very heelish side here, which is all right. I mean, you kind of really don't want to have two baby faces going up against each other for the world title, but I would think it would have been more CM Punk than it would have been Adam Hangman Page.
well,
But
see, that's the thing though, is AEW has basically tailored CM Punk into a blue collar babyface. So he's very much like that Austin esque uh, babyface in AEW right now.
hmm,
So, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that, like, you know, depending on the situation, CM Punk could absolutely play both sides and do it well.
right, and
So,
even after that, says that, well, CM Punk, I hate to be, the basically the bearer of bad news, but CM Punk isn't here, and he might just be off filming another TV show, kind of taking a dig at, few shows that he did film. Um, then he also claims that he's going to embarrass CM Punk, and this will be the fight of his life. Thoughts? Are we going to see a dogfight between Adam Hangman Page and CM Punk? I mean, I think so. I didn't think that it was probably going to be such a dogfight, but with Adam Hangman Page, with a change of heart in him, basically going out there and saying he's going to embarrass, he's going to destroy CM Punk, I think this has a little bit more um, going into the match than it did. Um, I just think that CM Punk and Hangman him and Page and now are gonna bring the house down in the main event of Double or Nothing in Las Vegas, Nevada. Um, I'm not really a gambling man, but Adam Hangman Page is. And if I had to say who I have my money on, I might have to go with CM Punk. I really do think that CM Punk's time to
I
be
was
the
gonna
world
say I
champion
would
is
definitely
definitely
place
now.
my bets on CM Punk winning.
But then again, who knows? Anything is possible, especially in AEW. So it wouldn't shock me if it's Adam Hangman Page retaining. But right now, I think it's the time for CM Punk to be the world champion. I think this is his last hoorah at being a world champion. So what better way to have it happen in AEW? Um, so going forward, we have this grudge match between Chris Jericho and Santana. Well, with everything else that's going on in the match, well, Santana got low blowed with a distraction from the Jericho Appreciation Society, and then leads into the Judas effect. Then the Jericho Appreciation Society beat down Santana and Ortiz after the match. I tell ya, man, this is going to be one hell of a rivalry. I tell you what, we're probably not going to find who the other two members of that faction are until damn near close to freaking Double or Nothing. It would have to be soon. We're heading into the May 11th, episode of Dynamite. We only have a couple more weeks before Double or Nothing, folks. 2 more weeks to be exact. After this week, we have 2 more Dynamites before, um, actually maybe one, two, something like that. I think it's 2 more after this. Um,
Either way, Double or
Dynamites
Nothing is coming up.
before Double or Nothing. So we better hope and find out who those other two members are, because it's going to be 5-on-5. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be faction versus faction, 5 against 5. Um, you know, Jericho Appreciation Society versus Eddie Kingston's group there. So we'll happen to see if it is LAX. It could very well be, and then it very well could not be. So we'll see what happens. As far as that, next thing is kind of hilarious. So Gun Club, Acclaim were trying to get Gun Club on their side and got nothing. Well, this week they come out, Gun Club has presence. Well, Marty, they weren't any ordinary presence. They were scissors.
Mm-hmm.
And Acclaim is like, well, what does this mean? And they're like, bring it in, man. Yes. So they start scissoring with them. What does that mean? Have they joined together? I think that's what that means. I think you're now going to see a new faction joined, Gun Club and the Acclaimed. Which, Marty, that's 5. It very well could be a new faction brewing between Gun Club and the Acclaimed. So we'll definitely see what happens. So speaking of a faction, the House of Black come out and try to get Julia Hart to turn on her team, but she isn't fully committed to being with the House of Black. Thoughts? We thought she was going to use a chair on Griff Garrison, but she decided against it. Gets put into the corner, and guess who takes off the eye patch? It is none other than Malachi Black who takes the eye patch off. She was wearing some black clothing underneath her jacket there, so I really did
Not
think
to mention, she had the face, the like black paint around her eye or whatever. So
I
she's
think
definitely
she may
like
not
teasing it.
She may not have fully committed to it yet, but I think it's going to be coming soon. I think you're going to see House of Black versus um, the Varsity Blondes soon enough, where Julia Hart will fully commit to being in the House of Black. Um, The only thing I don't like with the whole House of Black and WWE and with their whole thing is they're kind of copying each other. I think it's more so WWE copying off of AEW because I think the House of Black had been around a little bit longer than Edge's
Oh
new
yeah.
group there. I
Well,
gotta
not to
say,
mention Brody King made a joke about it about Judgment Day, and he was like, "Oh, when you order the House of Black from Wish."
because now that you see Rhea Ripley in that group, you kind of like, well, now if Julia Hart goes in there, it's kind of like almost the same exact thing. Like, I don't know. I don't really like a whole copying thing because it's not original, and then I think WWE should be sued for it. I hate to say it, um, but again, who knows? Going forward, Ray Phoenix and Dante Martin did the last two to qualify for the Owen Hart tournament. Well, Ray Phoenix, first match since injury in January, beats Dante Martin in shocking fashion. I'm quite shocked about that. I'm shocked that they didn't give it to Dante Martin. Dante Martin would have made a little bit more sense. Um, but yes, Ray Phoenix qualifies for the Owen Hart tournament. Why, DW? Why do you have to keep on pushing Dante Martin down? Like, I get it, he's not really a singles competitor, but having him lose to Ray Phoenix absolutely made no sense. I think to qualify, you have a lot more, to gain with Dante Martin being in the tournament than you do Ray Phoenix. But again, Ray Phoenix does qualify for the tournament. Um, he will actually be going against the Joker in the tournament. As far as that goes, we'll talk about that a little bit. Trying to remember if I actually had that down as a Joker. Oh, maybe. Okay. Okay, yes, I do. Speaking of that, it's actually next in my notes. Um, so there is a wild card in the men's and women's Owen Hart Foundation tournaments. Who could they be? Men's, I'm thinking Miro because he signed a new deal. We haven't seen him on AEW television in a long time. I think you're going to see him coming back. Bringing him back soon makes the most sense because you still have a lot of left with Miro that you can do. You can have him with you can have him with you know what am I trying to say? You could have him go after either the TNT Championship again, or you can have him be into the World Championship picture. As far as the women's division, women's tournament goes, who is your pick? Who do you think you could see? The unluckily situation for both is Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. It could happen. Who knows? Sources have not confirmed anything or said that they're going to be anywhere close to AEW as of yet. A lot of fans are thinking it's going to be them, but Marty, if you had to choose between the men's and the women's side, who is your best bet?
Well, first of all, for the women, I can confidently, well, not. Mm, Let me slow my roll a little bit
I
and
was
not
about to say,
say
I wouldn't say
confidently.
confidently.
Let me let me eagerly, I should say, eagerly say Nixon Newell, formerly known as Tegan Knox, for the women's. Um, I heard she had a lot of visa issues, so that's why she hasn't really signed with a major company yet. But I think that once she gets those sorted out, and when she gets them sorted out, that AEW is really the perfect place for her. Um, if not Nixon Newell, then maybe Athena,
Yeah, I'm thinking
formerly known as
Athena.
Ember Moon.
I really do think Athena.
And then as far as the men's, I happen to agree with Miro. But if they're gonna go the route of a surprise debut for the Joker, I gotta say, I gotta go with Claudio Castagnoli, Cesaro. I something tells me that that's the route that they would go if that were the case. If not, for Miro potentially returning.
Right. I mean, it very well could happen. We'll definitely have to keep on watching AEW because this tournament's going to be a couple weeks. It's supposed to lead into like the finals are actually at Double or Nothing for both the men's and the women's. So I'm very curious to see what could happen. So definitely keep on watching AEW. We'll find out who is the Joker for both the women's and the men's. So, um, but one of the matches that are going to happen in the actual tournament is Darby Allin against Jeff Hardy next week. Yes, you heard it here. Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy. I'm sure this is a dream match for Darby Allin.
Well, just think about that too. It's essentially two men that are equally matched. And a lot of
Yes.
people actually describe Darby Allin as essentially, well, as essentially the this generation's version of um, Jeff Hardy. So it's very possible that you know, I'm sure, yeah, this is a lot of people, like a lot of people see this as a dream match, and how could you not? Like I said, a lot of people have described Darby Allin as this generation's Jeff Hardy. So they're very equally matched. It will be a contrast of styles, and it's just a matter of who's going to be the better man.
I'm thinking Jeff Hardy, but there's more to gain with Darby Allin winning it than
Yes.
Jeff Hardy. I hate to
Yes.
say it.
I mean,
So
don't get me wrong, there would be a lot to gain with Jeff winning it as well, but really, like, who benefits from it more?
I think
I feel
Darby.
like, yeah,
Yeah, Darby. Um, Going forward, Serena Deeb is the number one ranked women's wrestler. And she thinks that the only way for the women's division to be the best is for her to be the champ.
I
Very
mean,
questionable. And then Thunder Rosa claims that she's the best, and Serena thinks that she's on another level, wants to have the championship to prove it, and want to place a bet in that it will be the shortest reign in history. Thoughts? Sorry to say it, Serena Deeb. There's a reason why you probably have only won one women's championship in your whole entire career, major one, and that's the NWA, because you're not really that great of a wrestler. And I really do think that Serena Deeb is going to lose to Thunder Rosa. If they do go the route where Serena Deeb, fine, but at least do something well with her as the champ. Don't just have her as a to potentially be at the transitional champion. That's why I think it's best to have Thunder Rosa beat Serena Deeb. But I'm glad. See, this is what I like about AEW. You give wrestlers that you typically wouldn't really see end up getting shots, and this is what I like. It creates new feuds. It creates new storylines. It keeps it fresh.
yeah.
Not something that you're gonna be like seeing fucking Randy Orton and John Cena for the like fucking 10th time because the fans
Don't
want to
you mean
see it.
10 billion?
Yeah, 10 billion.
Well, either way.
But
Going on the thing about Serena Deeb is like, oh, the women's division would be much better if I was the champion. Um, as much as as much as I like watching the NWA, what happened during that time that she was the NWA Women's World Champion? Women's division in NWA didn't quite reach that level with her as champion. So At least when Thunder Rosa was NWA Women's Champion, everybody was like vying to go to the NWA because they were like, "Oh wow, Thunder Rosa has the NWA Women's World Title. I want that. I want to face Thunder Rosa." Now that she's the AEW Women's World Champion, they see it as like, "Oh, Thunder Rosa has the AEW Women's World Title. I want to go to AEW. I want to wrestle Thunder Rosa for that title." So I feel like Thunder Rosa is a bigger draw as a women's champion than Serena Deeb. Nothing against Serena Deeb. It's just that Thunder Rosa has more name value behind her, has more market value behind her.
Right. Then going on to the main event of Rampage, or not Rampage, Dynamite, Mercedes Martinez and Deonna Purrazzo. Yeah, see, Deonna Purrazzo, a name that
Yeah.
is very familiar to Impact Wrestling fans.
Yep. The
And
champ challenge she would
um,
always have.
so, by big shocking surprise, Mercedes Martinez beats Deonna Purrazzo to become the undisputed ROH Women's World Champion with
Crazy.
the Dragon Sleeper.
Yeah.
The Dragon Sleeper.
It was a Dragon Sleeper.
Crazy. Man, I tell you, Mercedes Martinez, I know she is one badass chick and has over 20 plus years of experience, but man, she made Deonna Purrazzo look like she was like coming out of junior high.
Which is shocking too when you consider that Deonna Purrazzo calls herself the virtuosa. It's like, well, if you're the virtuosa, then you would have found a way to beat a 20-year plus veteran in Mercedes Martinez. Now, I believe that did initially happen in Impact for the Knockouts title, but this isn't Impact anymore. This is AEW. This is Ring of Honor. You're defending the women's title of Ring of Honor to be the
See,
undisputed
I feel like the
champion.
only real reason why she dropped the title is so that she could focus more on Impact more than on ROH. That's what
Well,
I'm
that's the
thinking.
thing too. Is she won that title at an
I think
Impact
this was also
taping.
before AEW also bought out ROH.
No. So
Like,
it was
well,
well. She teased the match initially at Final Battle in December before uh, Ring of Honor went on hiatus and before it was announced that Tony Khan bought the company. But by the time the company had been bought by Tony Khan, and even during the time of the hiatus, um, Roxy, when she was still the champion, now Roxanne Perez in NXT, um, she was inevitably going to WWE anyways because she's still the champion, but it's like in order for you to actually pursue other opportunities,
you
like
gotta
in
drop the
wrestling, you
title.
have to drop the title. You can't
Mhm.
because that's ultimately like you can't do business like that. That's bad
Nope,
business.
you can't be pulling a Medusa and taking the WWF
Well, see,
title to
that's the thing
WCW
too.
and burning it.
That's the thing too, and that's why the Montreal Screwjob had to happen because Brett wanted to go to WCW as the WWF champion, and Vince was like, "Well, he's not going to want to drop the title, and we know he's going to WCW, but we can't have our champion jumping ship,
Right.
our main champion jumping ship. So how do we take the title off of him?" And that's when they ultimately were like, "Well, why don't we just screw him out of the belt?" And that's exactly what happened.
So, uh, going on to the Rampage side of things, Ruby Soho and Tony Storm team up to go up against Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Well, no real big surprise, they beat Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Um, then kind of shocking, even after the fireball, Eddie Kingston calls into Rampage, which was kind of odd the first time that's ever happened in AEW, where a wrestler called in to the commentary table. Well, he calls in and says he wants Chris Jericho to feel the same fear that his wife did and wants to hurt him really bad. Well, again, this rivalry is just, increasing. It's going to be one hell of a dogfight between both factions, so I'm really ready to see what's going to happen. Um, Going forward, well, Tony Nese wants a match. It's not against the man you thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be Hook. No, he wants a piece of Danhausen instead. Thoughts?
Yeah, if that's the case, then essentially Danhausen's first match in AEW would be against Tony Nese, which, if you're going to do anything, wait for that match. Wait to have Tony Nese versus Danhausen because, like, in terms of the overall story that they're telling, have Hook be Danhausen's first opponent in AEW. Don't have it be Tony Nese. At least not yet. That's why I say wait to have the Danhausen and Tony Nese match. Because, like, yeah, Hook just makes the most sense to be Danhausen's first opponent, especially, like I said, with the story that they're
Yeah,
telling.
but right now what they're also showing is they're going to show, I think, the unlikely combination of Hook and Danhausen to be Hookhausen. So we'll see. Speaking of Hook, he faces off against JD Drake. Do we really have to go too much into this? He beats JD Drake with the Red Room submission move. Then we see Rio against Yuki Sakazaki. Um, Rio beats Yuki to
Yuka. Yuka Sakazaki.
Yuka Sakazaki to qualify for the women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. It is the seventh competitor, as because both sides have Ace Joker. So going forward, Frankie Kazarian comes out, says he is Scorpio Sky's biggest threat, and better stay to his promise, and wants a shot at the TNA title. Well, Scorpio Sky claims that this time things are going to be different. He wants to be a fighting champion, and next week we will see Scorpio Sky against Frankie Kazarian for the title. Thoughts?
It's about damn time
I know
we're
it's
bringing
about.
Prestige back to that title.
I know
because,
exactly. I'm glad.
and granted, it was a cheap, it was a cheap heat, I guess you could even call it, but at the same time, you could call it essentially a cheap pop, considering everybody hates the fact that Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti are like just putting their relationship out there after they said like a while back they're like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna keep our relationship private. Well, that certainly went out the door, but you know, after essentially having the TNT title be passed around like Ty Conti backstage, um, like to Scorpio's point, like yeah, that title has been essentially like hot potato so much in the past like few months this year, and now like you know I really want to believe Scorpio Sky when he says that, like that he wants to bring the prestige back to the TNT Championship, which, like I said, it really needed because, yeah, at that point you were just like tossing the title around just to toss the title around and to make all these people multiple time TNT champions. It's like, what are you
Right.
doing?
I know. I'm honestly glad that Frankie Kazarian is getting a shot at the title. It would be nice to see him win, but I think having Scorpio Sky as TNT champion right now is good for him right now. Is good because it means that there's going to be a stepping stone for him to eventually even go after the World Heavyweight title
Yeah.
and be the first ever Triple Crown, uh, winner in AEW for
Yeah.
winning the tag
That's
team,
crazy
the
to think.
TNT, and the World Heavyweight title. It's never been done in AEW history yet.
At least not yet. Yeah. That would be crazy if Scorpio was the first ever Triple Crown champion in AEW.
I mean, that could very well happen. So going forward into the main event, Jay Lethal and um,
Yes. Jay Lethal and Konosuke Takeshita.
yes,
I was gonna say I don't want to
face
butcher
off
his name.
against each other, face off against each other, and then Jay Lethal beats him. And after the match, the best friends come down and get beaten down by Satnam Singh. Satnam Singh, tell you, man, he's lethal. And afterwards, the best friend or Orange Cassidy stare each other down. Then Samoa Joe comes out with a lead pipe and gets held back by security and arrest. What will happen next?
Do we want to know what happens next?
I'm thinking it's
Because
gonna
something
be.
tells me that Samoa Joe is gonna get ultra violent and.
I think we're gonna see
wreak havoc on.
best friends Orange Cassidy and Samoa Joe against Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and maybe one other. I mean,
Well, see, that's the thing. Is Sanjay Dutt even ring ready anymore? Has he seemingly retired?
or we could see the likely duo of Orange and Samoa Joe against Satnam Singh and Jay Lethal. We could see that too. Um, I think
I
we're
don't
gonna
know. That'd be
eventually see.
weird.
I think very soon, sooner than later, it's going to be Satnam Singh's debut in AEW.
Yeah.
I kind of like what they are doing with Jay Lethal. I think Sanjay Dutt kind of being there with Jay Lethal makes sense. Like the whole um, Impact ties. I like what they're doing with Jay Lethal. I like what they're doing with Samoa Joe. Satnam Singh, but at least he's doing something
Yeah.
now than getting drafted by the Dallas Mavericks and then end up leaving the NBA. So at least you're doing something, but um, it sucks that you didn't get the chance in the NBA. But as far as that goes, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode of No Final Bell. Make sure to follow us down below on all of social media at Tinkle Sports. Please make sure to check out the channel at Tinkle Sports and Entertainment, as we got more than just this show. We have Sunday Morning Tinkle every Sunday at 9 a.m. We have Out of Turn 4 every Tuesday at 5, and of course this show every Wednesday at 5 p.m., unless other things happen. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share these videos with others, get us, out there a little bit more. But other than that, we will see you in the next episode.